We're on. We're live. Good morning, good evening, good afternoon, whatever time you're watching this after the fact. Thank you for joining us for our latest SilviaFindings live stream event, cataloging all of our amazing products. This is, I think, episode 80, something like that. So 79 or 80, something like that. So we've been doing this a while. We're continuing on this week with more chains, bulk chains. You know, the chains that come on the roll by the foot, by the meter. We have it priced by the foot or by the meter. So, I mean, however you want. Actually, if you want it by the inch, you know, that's how we sell it. Even though it's priced by the foot, we just do the math. You know, if you need, I don't know, 11 inches or 7 inches or some weird amount, don't worry, we can do it. We can provide it. I'm not going to spend a lot of time in this intro because Lise will kick my ass. That's probably the one person who's actually watching at this point. So I get in trouble for spending so much time commenting on how badly Canada Post is. I had a nice conversation with, just in case you're unaware, how we do domestic shipping. If it's just regular, we won't ship anything just regular mail, regular postage. You know, it has to go in a box because, yay, good morning, Lise. Yes. It is. Well, not here. It's just downpour is kind of an understatement at this point. It's like really pouring rain here. I drive to work in the morning along a road where there's a huge, I guess it's a ditch, you know, the traditional ditch. It's a pretty wide ditch, and they're looking really swollen. Like, the culverts underneath the driveways the water is cresting them. You know, it's almost like I'm expecting some people's driveways to be washed away by the time we get home. We'll see. And this is obviously no good news for, I think, because just east of us, you know, there are the mountains. The mountains, the Rocky Mountains, the big ones. And all of the roads that our Canada Post, our parcels travel domestically on, have this weird tendency to get washed away during times of incredible rainfall and inclement weather, which is what happened in December. I was just going back, actually, Lise, we were having a conversation yesterday about who's really to blame, because I, you know, rag on Canada Post, and again, I don't want to spend too much time on it, but whether or not it's them or if it's Chit Chats, which is the reshipping company we use, they're a local company. They truck our U.S. shipments across the border, so, and then they mail it from within Washington State, so we're able to use U.S. Postal Service shipping rates, which are less than half Canada Post shipping rates. Anyway, for domestic shipments, it's not them. We had a shipment that was literally 27 days, almost a month, from here to Edmonton, and it only just arrived this week. And you know, we were all making fun of Canada Post, and Lise mentioned something that made me think about it, and I thought I would look into it. And I got a hold of somebody at Chit Chats this morning. You know, it took some wrangling, but I spoke to somebody who actually had some authority and actually had a grasp on the situation, and they're elucidating me immensely. I was under the impression that when we dropped something here at the Chit Chats location, that the company Chit Chats trucked it across to Alberta or Ontario or whatever, and then dropped it at a distribution center in those provinces. But no, they have no trucks of their own. Or they do have trucks, but the trucks that they use are only the ones that take the parcels across the border. Our center here in Richmond is the hub, so all of the outlying areas bring all of their parcels to this distribution center, and then they get put in, the parcels or whatever get put into distribution center gaylords, like those big boxes, big containers. And then Canada Post picks up there every day or every other day or whatever it is. I think it's every day. And apparently in December, when that issue with all the roads being washed away and literally the Vancouver was cut off from the rest of the country by road anyway, or you could theoretically still go down through Washington State and halfway down, into Washington State and up, and it was like a 16-hour drive or whatever it was. I think I looked on Google Maps just for laughs. So Canada Post stopped accepting parcels. You could still go to the post office and drop parcels there, but from there they weren't going anywhere. They were just stuck. They were just backing up in containers, which I guess makes sense. There's no way to truck them there, so I just think so. There were containers and containers of parcels that were just backing up there. Nobody told us. That if you wanted your parcels shipped anytime soon, that it, ship it by air is your really only option. I wish we had known, because I get the impression, not so much with us. I feel like all of the time sensitive shipments that we sent actually made it to their destinations, for Christmas presents or whatever. But I feel like there were probably a lot of disappointed people on Christmas morning because shipments were just backed up that long. Anyway, this executive at Chit Chats, she reassured me that, the system is, almost back to normal. There's still some backups, but they're getting there, and that it shouldn't be a problem anymore. So, I don't know. We'll keep an eye on that. And I said I wasn't going to spend any time on this morning, and here I spent the last 8 minutes talking about domestic logistics, which again, my history with Canada Post is not great, but it's not their fault. Basically, what I'm saying. Well, I guess it kind of is their fault. It's not Chit Chat's fault. It's not really anybody's fault. It's they're blaming it on the roads being washed away, which I guess is kind of a okay. That's a real excuse. It's not like we had holiday hours and we didn't get shipments moved. It was like, okay, they physically couldn't actually move the containers across the country from here. So I think so. But apparently it was not a problem for the rest of the country. It was only an issue directly related to us because we were on the side of the mountains that stuff was coming from, and anybody in Alberta or all points east of that were on the side of the mountains where nothing was going to. So and Christmas, right? God, perfect timing for that stuff. Anyway, so that's my things and stuff. Yes, yeah. I was like this close to saying, okay, look, we'll just not use Chit Chats domestically because of this issue. If this is going to be an issue, but she explained that they don't truck anything anywhere. That Canada Post picks up at their distribution center here in Richmond, and it was Canada Post that were just holding on to it for so long. And the reason why there's no tracking information is, like when you drop something at a post office, it gets scanned when they put the label on, sort of thing. So then you'll see that tracking information. But the company Chit Chats, they do all the pre-sorting so that they get a big bin of parcels that are going to the Mississauga, Ontario distribution center, and it just goes on a truck, and then from that truck it goes on the Mississauga truck in Canada Post, and they don't pull out every parcel and scan them all, so there's no tracking information. There won't be tracking information until it gets to Mississauga or Calgary or wherever it is, sort of thing. And that's not a Chit Chats issue, that's a Canada Post logistics issue, I think, which I'm much happier with knowing how that works instead of guessing and blaming the wrong people. So anyway, neither here nor there. So let's continue on. We're gonna keep doing chains this week. I just noticed, and I wish I had spent more time this morning preparing for this. I just noticed that some of these chains are like really, really, really badly tarnished. But we'll just do what we can, you know. You'll see the antique versions of them. I think, show you how good the polishing cloths are. Here's my polishing cloth. Oh. I'll show you how good these polishing cloths are, right? Which, if you don't have one, you should get one. And I had one here. What did I do with it? Well, this is what it looks like outside the package. You know, in the package, it's just, you know, that lovely green package with the gold printing on it. I have one around, lying around somewhere. I'm sure I'll find it. It's already been that kind of a morning. Yeah. Okay. Let me just move this around. Our first item today is SFC007. This is a cable chain, but it's very cool because it's made with like square wire. Yes?
The screen got black out.
The screen got black? Are you still seeing black? Are you guys okay? You all good? Can you see this? This gorgeous chain made with square wire. It's nice and thick. I guess let me know in the comments if anybody's actually watching. If there's a... Can you not see? Uh-oh. Are we on... I don't understand.
I can hear your voice, but...
Huh. Okay, well, if you can't see what I'm holding up, trust me. It's a gorgeous silver chain. Or let me just try this here. Move this around. Change that back to me. Can you see me now? Hi. It's very clear. There we go. Okay. Awesome. Okay. Am I here? Nice. Okay. So this is pretty thick. It's probably maybe 16 gauge square wire that it's made of. So it's nice and pretty chunky. Very gorgeous. I love that, you know, the flat edges on the chain give it a little more sparkle, a little more flash, you know. And it's just, I don't know, just very cool. I love it. Love it, love it. Our next item, SFC008, with a retail price of $12.19 and a wholesale price of $7.62 per foot. And this is an oval Rolo chain. It's kind of hard to see, but see it's domed on the outside, flat on the inside. Some people call that Belcher or Belker. Belcher. Sounds like, that's not important what it sounds like. It sounds like, Belker. Belcher, or Rolo, Rolo is what I always call this. You know, those chains that are domed on the outside and flat on the inside, almost like a low dome wire they're made out of. I didn't bring my calipers, but I'm looking, the links on this are probably 6 millimeters long or so, and the width of that is probably 1 millimeter wide. Very classic, very lovely. Just a regular old cable chain, but you know, with Rolo with the Rolo links. It's very cool, very nice. Here's another one that's it's so tarnished. Oh, look how good this cloth is, and look how much cuprous oxide there was on that chain. Golly. There you go. That's a little better. Although, I promise, when we send it to you, they won't be tarnished. These are just tarnished because they've been sitting on these displays that we bring to trade shows for literally years. Like, we haven't changed any of these things since I've been working here. I've been working here 4 years. And we haven't changed any of these things. So yeah, 4 years of tarnish from people, feeling them up at shows and looking at them and getting their body oils and sweat on them, and they get tarnished, and just the air with the oxygen. SFC 010 with a retail price of $20.12 a foot and a wholesale price of $12.58. And this is just a gorgeous, very simple cable chain with round links, right? Oh, let me get back in the frame. Nice big round links that I would say that's 18 gauge wire is in the thickness of the chain. Maybe 20 gauge, 21 gauge something. I don't know my caliper, but it's pretty thick. And those links are, I don't know, I would say 6 millimeter, maybe 8 millimeters wide. You can see that in scale against somebody's hands. That works good. This one is SFC 011 with a retail price of $37.15 a foot and a wholesale price of $27.94 a foot. This is a complex chain with a bunch of alternating shapes, right? It looks like there's this section with a trio of twisty wire links, the smallest thing and stuff. And then there's ovals or teardrops, pairs, something. I don't know. That's kind of cool. The way those are interspersed. And then there's an oval and another one that's interspersed. And just very cool. Complex chain. These are, of course, is a handmade chain. There's no machine that can do these kind of things. And it's quite big, right? The links are kind of big, but they're airy, they're open. Sorry for the tarnish on these links. Golly, I really should. I think next week I'll make sure that I polish them before I put them up. Although I don't know if that you would actually see them as well, if I'm being perfectly honest. If they're just really super shiny on the camera, I guess with the black in the background, there's enough contrast. They'll be able to see. This one, SFC 012, with a retail price of $39.88 a foot and a wholesale price of $30.53 a foot. This is another handmade chain, hand-assembled chain. Alternating links of... not really oh my gosh, I can learn how to speak again someday. So the little trio of plain oval links with the twisty wire links in between nice giant oval twisty wire link. Figaro was the word I was looking at. So it's kind of like a stand up of a Figaro chain in the broadest sense of the term. Again, these are all soldered by hand, right? These links. That's why that's $39 a foot. Our next item, SFC 013. Oops. With a retail price of $36.35 a foot and a wholesale price of $27.83. Another kind of similar to the last one, maybe a spiritual cousin. Another send up on the Figaro concept, right, where you have links of 3 plain oval links, separated by big oval twisty wire links. And again, I would say that the wire used in the plain links are probably 18, maybe 16 gauge. Yeah, no, they're probably 18 gauge. And then the twisty wire links are, probably ultimately around the same. But again, golly, just being on those display boards forever. This, I think, is probably the the most tarnished one. Maybe. Close. Anyway. Right? I think a lot of people don't appreciate just how good these polishing cloths are, you know, for getting the and again, it's not just a simple chamois, right? There's a chemical infused in the chamois that helps unbind the cupric oxide that is tarnished. So, right, you can just see just a couple of wipes, the difference between that shiny one and that more tarnished one. I don't know if you can see that. Anyway, this is a lovely SFC 014 with a retail price of $54.35 per foot and a wholesale price of $32.90 a foot. Again, this just alternating small and big oval links. Nice big chain. I just love these big chains. They're so useful for so many things. I don't know what to say about that. Probably when you're looking at 18 gauge, maybe 16 gauge wire for the loops. Very cool. SFC 017 with a retail price of $32.45 and a wholesale price of $24.85. This is just a straight up cable chain of twisty wire links. Nice, great big giant ovals. Again, I don't have my caliper here, so I don't know. I don't want to guess. They're pretty big, right? You can see how big they are. I have the like giant, you know, Popeye fingers too. So depending on your fingers, they may be they may look smaller or bigger, but it's just gorgeous. And here is one SFC 018 with a retail price of $42.06 and a wholesale price of $32.20. And these are a bunch of alternating pairs of 7mm twisty wire jump rings. Right? It's just a classic cable chain. But the twisty wire links and having them doubled up give them, you know, quite a bit more beefiness, as we say. You know, nice and heavy too. But not, you know, debilitatingly so. It's pretty, it's chunky, but it's light. If that makes sense. That probably doesn't make sense. SFC 019 with a retail price of $18.08 and a wholesale price of $13.84. And this is a lovely, kind of like an alternating cable chain of small twisty wire and big twisty wire links, ovals, right? Now I'm looking at those, I don't know how big those are. Probably 8 or 10 millimeters wide, the smaller, the bigger links, and then the smaller ones look like they're maybe 5 millimeters wide. Again, it's not super heavy, so it's kind of dainty, but it's not dainty. It looks super solid, right? Having that twisty wire effect on it just gives it that little bit of bulk, a little bit of power. Here's one. Okay, no, I was wrong. Yeah, this is the. Oh no. We have one coming up. That definitely wins the prize for the most tarnished chain we have on the. Anyway, I don't want to spend so much time doing that, but you can see the links, right? You'll just have to excuse the tarnish. SFC 001. So I guess this was the first one we ever had. I don't know why this is on a. Oh, I guess it is on the tray. $79.92 a foot is the retail price, and $48.37 a foot is the wholesale price. This is hand assembled chain. Again, another one. I don't know if you would call this kind of a send up on the Figaro chain, right? So you got this big link and then a section of 3. No, this is sections of 5, of 6, of 7. So you got a section of 7, right? That small oval, small loop, bigger loop, bigger with the twisty wire loop, and then that smaller loop, and a smaller loop, and the oval connected by these big ovals. So it's a 7-in-1 Figaro chain instead of that, kind of more classic 3-in-1 Figaro chain. There you go. There you can see that pattern very well there. Very cool. Hand assembled, which is why it's maybe a little bit more than you might be expecting. Here is SFC 003. That's the meter price. 77 or 76.77 is the retail price, and 46.46 is the wholesale price. Now, even though this is not super heavy, it's still heavier than a lot of the other chains. But this is the reason why this is what is it, $76 retail a foot, is because these are Byzantine links. These have to be done by hand, right? So they're all assembled by hand, and this Byzantine component here on the end in between of the small links is really tricky. It's kind of a pain to do it. Yeah, especially, I mean, if you don't know what you're doing, it's a real pain, and even when you do know what you're doing, it's just really super time consuming, right? So it's very labor intensive to make this chain. It's super gorgeous though. I just love that big oval link separating those Byzantine components. A little bit different, a little bit interesting send up on the Byzantine style, which is quite cool. Oh no, I've got a tangle. There we go. SFC 004 with a retail price of $69.08 a foot and a wholesale price of $41.81 a foot. This is a very simple chainmail, kind of thing, just a couple of rows of chainmail. Again, these all have to be assembled by hand, and you'll have to excuse the tarnish. Obviously, when you get these, they'll be nice and shiny silver. They won't be tarnished like this, but these are all assembled by hand, right? Now you can't really see, but the individual pairs that are linked together are actually soldered together. I don't know if you could see that in between that, right? So it's chainmail, but it's that German, what is it, 4-in-1, or the European 4-in-1 link, that traditional thing. Only the two side ones are soldered, which makes it a little bit easier to assemble them, but not by much. And again, all of these things have to be soldered by hand, which definitely adds to the labor. But it's just very cool. Very simple, very supple. Would be great because the links are all soldered, so it would be great for like maybe like a little evening bag, like a little purse, right? Have the strap, be this chainmail. Very cool if you're into that kind of thing. You don't want to take fashion tips from me, but I'm just saying. SFC 040 with a retail price of $7.87 a foot and a wholesale price of $4.76 a foot. And it's a very simple cable chain with flat, round links. Very delicate, but big enough that it looks substantial. But it's pretty light. Very interesting, very super. I like how flat those flat links. You can see the light travel up and down it as it twists. So you get a little more flash than you would on a regular oval link, or oval or round wire link. But just love that. And this one, very cool, but the most tarnished link that we have in the thing. And this is SFC 005 with a retail price of $28.40 a foot and a wholesale price of $21.75 a foot. And again, this is another hand-assembled chain. These are moons, right? Moon links. Right. I could just say no to that. Moon chain. Again, this is another one that's all hand assembled. The individual component links, I don't know if you could see that where they're soldered together on the points. You can really see it stand out because the solder doesn't tarnish the same way the sterling silver does. So, you know, I mean, you won't be able to tell as much on the polished links when you get them, right? Right, like you can't really tell there's solder there anymore, right? But that's a pretty good illustration of the different alloys, how different alloys oxidize differently. You know, that sterling silver is just an alloy of 92.5% silver, right? You always see that 0.925. And do I need to explain this? Probably not. But why not? 92.5% silver, and the other 7.5% is usually is mostly copper. Copper, maybe a little bit of zinc thrown in there, and it's the copper that loves the oxygen that creates the cupric oxide, the copper and oxygen binding together to tarnish on the surface. That's why fine silver bezel wire or fine silver wire doesn't oxidize as quickly because there's no copper in there. It will oxidize eventually, but it oxidizes much more slowly because there's no copper inside. And the silver solder, right, is again an alloy of mostly silver, but the rest is usually zinc or tin, and by adjusting how much of the zinc and tin you could put in the alloy, you can adjust the temperature that it melts at. Now, like a medium silver solder will melt at about 300 degrees lower than the sterling silver. And again, I remember the temperatures off the top of my head in Fahrenheit, and I don't remember them in Celsius, so forgive me. But like sterling silver melts at 1640 degrees Fahrenheit, and medium silver solder is about, it depends where you buy it, they're all different, but you're looking at about 1350, 1360, something like that. So there's about 300 degrees difference between the melting temperature, or the flow temperature, I should say, of the solder and the melting temperature of the silver, which is how solder works. Right. And in order for silver solder, metal solder, gold solder, jewelry solder, those high temperature solders that you need to use with a torch, the way they work is you heat the piece of sterling silver to the temperature that the solder becomes liquid when it goes against it, so that it will melt and flow into the crystalline structure of the sterling silver. And then when it cools, it all cools as a single, solid matrix. So, when people tell you things like, oh, where the solder joint is, plumbers do this because it's the same technique that plumbers use when they do the sweat soldering on the pipes, right? They're heating those copper pipes to the temperature that the solder, and it's not silver solder, obviously, it's another solder, but the temperature that the solder actually physically flows into the crystalline structure of the copper and bonds them together into a subcrystalline interstitial bond. There's your 10-letter word for the day. Yeah, a little science. Okay, enough science. The last chain I'm going to show you today is, and this is like just so cool, SFC 002. This is one of my favorites. There's another one that we have that I like better, but This is my second favorite, I guess. $87.92 a foot. So you can already tell it's going to be gorgeous. And a wholesale price of $53.22 a foot. And look at this chain, right? So these are individual flower components, right, that are made out of wire, soldered together in the center, connected together with links, right? So each of these little flower components are made by hand and then soldered together by hand. So it's you know, huge. But you know what? When we're doing shows, we sell a ton of this chain, not as chain, but people just, you know, they just wear it. They put a clasp on either end. They'll get like 6 or 7 inches, however big their wrist is, and then, you know, get a clasp on it and just put that as a bracelet, because it's just so cool. And you know, if you're buying, I don't know, 6 inches of that, it's only like $40-something. Add a couple dollars for a clasp, and for, you know, $50, you've got this beautiful sterling silver flower bracelet. You know, that, I mean, you couldn't buy that in a jewelry store for $50 in sterling silver. They're just so cool. I just love, that's one of my favorite ones. Again, there's another one that we have that's a little crazier that I love more, just because it's just really crazy. But this is, I think, a little more more demographic appropriate, let's just say. Although I don't really know that we have a clear demographic. It seems to be the settings. That's it. That's the last chain that we've got for you. I was just gonna say, it seems like the settings and the you know, the stone setting thing seems to skew a little bit older, because there are still people who cut their own stones to do their own lapidary, and unfortunately, it seems like a lot of those people are getting old and and dying. So, like, who knows, in 10 years lapidary may be a lost art. I hope not, because it's a very cool thing to do. I've done it, I've tried it. It's one of those things that and to be fair, I've never done gem cutting, gem faceting. I just did you know, a weekend class at our local Rock and Gem Club here in Richmond, which was really impressive studio they've got there. Anyway, neither here nor there. It was just simple, you know, cabochons, cutting cabochons, and it was one of those things that once it's explained to you and you got all the safety, you know, stuff established in your mind, so you're not gonna, you know, accidentally, you know, I don't know. I mean, short of when you're cutting the slabs, I guess you could cut your finger off, but short of that, I don't know. There's not really a lot of ways that you could seriously injure yourself. And now that I've said that, I already know people are going to be able to, but Mark, you could totally do this. Yes, you could definitely injure yourself, you know, but I prefer to err on the side of fearlessness. I find that's the best way to learn, sort of thing. But it's all fun and games until somebody loses an eye, right? Isn't that the expression? I'm becoming my mom. It's all fun and games until somebody loses an eye. Anyway, what was my point? Oh, lapidary, you know, that kind of stuff, cabochon cutting things. It was not difficult to do, but I imagine it's difficult to do well. You know, that's one of those things that you could do simple cabs, you know, after a couple days, you know, learning, you know, the tips and the tricks and the techniques and stuff. But to get really good at doing like super accurate calibrated things, and coming from a metalsmith's perspective, right? You know, I bought cabochons in the future. You're at shows, you see cabochons, you want to make a pendant or something out of them. And from a jeweler fabrication, not casting, but fabrication perspective, the edge geometry of cabochons always perplexed me, because it's like every lapidary has their own favorite way of doing it. Sometimes the edges of a cabochon will be perfectly straight, and you'll need to either create a bezel wall or prongs that are taller than those. And other times they'll be like really, really thin, domed all the way right to the edge, which is great, except that most prongs or bezel walls that you're building on that thing end up being too big, and you end up, if you're using bezel walls or bezel wire to make a, you know, a bezel. When you fold those over onto the stone, if it's a really, really short or really, really low dome, you end up, especially around the corners, maybe some of those bezel, you know, walls sort of kinking against each other, and you end up with it looking really ugly. Or prongs, you just need to cut them down until the prongs are the right height, because most prongs are, you know, estimated. So what I was doing, and I was very conscientious about the edge, how the edge domed. I think that a lot of people who maybe do lapidary as just a thing, like they buy stones, they cut stones, they make cabs, they do whatever, and then they just sell the cabs, and they never worry about how the cabs are used. Maybe don't have as big of a sense of the importance of that kind of thing. So I guess the long story short is the cabs that I made were set beautifully and easily, whereas the cabs that I see that you know, people send us all the times, you know, for custom work or whatever, sometimes it's like, oh my gosh, clearly this person didn't care about who was going to be using the cabochon after they sold it to them. It was just like, well, how you get it set is your problem. I just made this cab, it's beautiful, it's whatever. Now that I have Canada Post and the lapidary community mad at me, who's next? I don't mean to. I just, I say it like it is. All right, so that's it. We've done, how many? I've done good? Oh, I've done good. 40 minutes, 45 minutes, something? Good. I think we talked a little longer than I would have wanted to about the logistics issues. But, oh, one thing, oh, I totally forgot. If you're thinking about ordering, I don't know, this is the end of the video, and it's like nobody's actually still watching, but too bad, I'm going to say anyway. If you're thinking about ordering custom, you're going to be waiting a long time, because China closes for Chinese New Year, or a lot of the manufacturing facilities. Our production facility closes from January 20th until just about the end of February. So there's like pretty much the month of February is a wash, and you won't be getting any custom items produced during that time. The 3D model designers, we can still do that. We can still, because they can work at home, you know, and you know, it's a holiday, but they still like money, so they'll accept work during the holidays. So we can still do the 3D models, we can still do all that, so we can do everything up to the actual production of your pieces, your custom pieces thing. So maybe it's you know, just as long as you're aware, I wouldn't put it off until February, because in the meantime, lots of other people are going to be placing custom orders, and they're going to be put in a production queue. And when we get to yours, you know, the sooner in the production queue you can get your piece in, you know, the better. So I'm not saying don't order custom. I'm saying if you do, just understand that the production part of it is going to take a lot longer than it normally would, because production facilities just closed until late in February. So even if you ordered something, you know, now-ish, you'd be looking at mid-March before we would be able to send you your piece. So just be aware of that. Other than that, I don't think I have anything else. It's just busy as always, which is awesome. Hopefully shows will start up again soon, you know, or maybe not. And now I don't know. People are talking about maybe more lockdowns again, because I don't know why some people, I get it. You know, some people are living in their own bubble of confirmation bias, and they're like, well, vaccines are a thing. And this is not a left-wing or right-wing thing, because I think one thing a lot of people don't realize, even though it seems to be the more conservative ilk who are the anti-vaxxers right now. The anti-vax movement traditionally was a very left-wing thing. It was the hippie granola types who were like, one shouldn't have said that. You know, I'm gonna say it. It was the hippie granola types who were like, "Wow, vaccines are bad," and you know, and never mind science thing. But now it seems like it's coming from both directions, right? So there's a percentage of people who just won't get vaccinated, and it's like, I don't understand how you can deny science. I get it. I look, I'm a jeweler. I don't have the skills to be able to convince you, you know, of something that you don't believe. You know, and it's not my place, I guess. I think it just. And I want to say something like, you know, be a good citizen, you know, but that's just totally shouldn't be the reason why you do it. But just get vaccinated. Come on. Do people really need to keep saying this? 3 years on, 2 years on, right? COVID-19 was 2019. Here we are in 2022, and we're still dealing with variants of it, you know, because some people just refuse to accept science as a premise that they should live their lives under, and I don't understand it. You know, I had 3 kids. They all went through school. They all had to have, you know, measles, mumps, and rubella vaccines. Nobody made a big stink. Well, yes, the crunchy granola types were making big, you know, were not a big deal, but they were making deals about that. But it was like, if your kids weren't vaccinated, they couldn't go to school. So now all of a sudden, now it's a problem with people. I don't get it. I don't get it. And this is not the place to be having this conversation anyway. But you got me going on a rant because otherwise we're never going to be rid of this plague. And the variants are just going to get nastier and nastier. So we'll see. Hopefully, this all started because I said hopefully we'll be back at shows again. You know, hopefully this year. I know we have some scheduled thing, but we'll see what happens. You know, you can have shows scheduled and then the government says, okay, no, we're locking down. You know, so we'll see what happens. In the meantime, and I mean this sincerely from the bottom of my heart, take care of yourself, take care of the planet, take care of your mental health, and keep working, keep making stuff. Jewelry is a great thing to do because, you know, sense of accomplishment. Even if you make something ugly, at least you've accomplished something ugly. It's still an accomplishment, which I think people are grasping at straws right now for things to do. So, we will see you next week, I guess, episode 81 or whatever we are. I ranted way too long. Let me just close.